Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth to rule well. And I want to say shalom to Yaakam and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's called That's What You Get for Selling Out to E. Parentheses, Uncle Juan. Alright, we'll get into that in a minute. Alright, some of you might have already worked that out, but hey, this is from an article I found over here. Now, this is from CNN. Okay, and I want to touch on this because who knows what this guy is. This guy could be an Edomite for all we know, but it's called CNN. He deported thousands of people, then learned he was undocumented. All right, hence the title. That's what you get for selling out to E. All right, being Uncle Juan. All right, in the Jake community, there's a term called Uncle Tom. All right, and that's when you basically you're in it with the white man. All right, you sell out your own people. You're Uncle Tom. All right, you basically work for the white man. All right, you can get the definition of Uncle Tom if you look it up. Uncle Tom, basically, he's in it with the white man. All right, and hates his own people. All right. It says Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom.
All right, Uncle Tom. It says a black man considering to be, and it would be a Jake, all right, or a so-called Negro, all right, which would, Southern tribe, all right. So a so-called black man considered to be excessively obedient or servile to white people. It says a person regarded as betraying their culture or social allegiance, all right. So that's an Uncle Tom, all right? So what's the Mexican version, so-called Mexican, all right, Nisquite version, all right, Uncle Juan, all right, or a Tio Thomas, So he deported thousands of people, then he learned he was undocumented, all right? And that's what happens, all right, when you sell out to E, all right? Now, when I looking this up, I was looking up what's the Mexican version of Uncle Tom, all right? This word came up, all right? Malinchism or malinchismo, all right, in Spanish, or malinchist, all right, or malinchista. It says, or sometimes simply put, I don't know how you pronounce that in this set, maybe malinche, or malinche. Yeah, I would assume malinche. It says, is a form of attraction that a person from one culture develops for another culture, and we're going to get the origin of it, because that's where it really comes in. A particular case of cultural cringe. It has been referred to as ethnic or national self-hatred. All right, and that happens a lot among Jake, is self-hatred. It says the term is used in Latin America and especially in Mexico to refer to the development of an admiration for the culture, ideas, and behaviors and lifestyles of the United States over those that are homegrown. All right, so if you're in Mexico and you're having all these, you're having admiration for, all the cultures and ideas of America, they'd call you a malinchismo. All right, so the origin. Now listen to this. This is. It's like there's a hair on the screen. This is pretty accurate to what we're talking about here. La Malinche is used as a symbol for those who assisted Spaniards in destroying indigenous Americans' way of life and culture. Malinchism may be taken as a prerogative, as an expression of disdain for those who are attracted to foreign values, thinking them superior or better quality and worthy of imitation. It derived from the name of Hernan Cortes, Nahua advisor La Malinche, referring to a deep-rooted Mexican inferiority complex. All right? So there you go. And see also, it says what? Uncle Tom, Yanacona, or Mapuche. What is this from? This is a term from Chile, all right, and Argentina. So that's Jake right there. All right, that's Jake. It says, we don't really need to get that. What's mongrel complex? Portuguese street dogs complex. It says, it's an expression used to refer to a collective inferiority complex reportedly felt by many Brazilians when comparing Brazil and its culture to other parts of the world, primarily the developed world, such as Europe and North America. as the reference to a mongrel carries negative connotations is attributed to Brazilians, to the racist perception of most Brazilians being racially mixed as well as lacking in desirable cultural refinement. All right, what's useful Jew? Says, I don't know, just a bunch of BS. All right, they had to get one too, of course. What's a West Brit? Derogatory term, a West Brit, an abbreviation of Brighton, derogatory term for an Irish person who is perceived as Anglophilic in matters of culture or politics. All right, so I guess they're, it's an Irish person that has British customs. West Britain is a description of Ireland emphasizing as it's under British influence. All right. So, but this guy would be malinchismo. All right, let's read it. All right, and man, this had me heated. I'm like, well, that's what you get, man. What goes around comes around. All right, the Most High is paying you back. That's judgment on your part. All right, no matter what happened. All right, look, and it showed you how E thinks about you, really. Let's read it. San Benito, Texas. Raul Rodriguez says he never forgot. Says that he never forget, but it should be forgot. Says he'll never forget, Salakia. So it was supposed to be forget. I was reading it wrong. Raul Rodriguez says he'll never forget the moment he realized his life was built on a lie. It said he was so shaken that he felt the blood rushing to his feet. In a matter of seconds, a family secret had shattered the way he saw the world and his place in it. That day will never leave my mind. It's a terrible feeling, he says. Said it all began on April 2018 when federal investigators showed him a shocking document, a Mexican birth certificate with his name on it. A conversation with his father soon afterward confirmed that Rodriguez had feared as soon as he saw the paperwork. The U.S. birth certificate he'd used for decades was fraudulent. Rodriguez wasn't a U.S. citizen. He was an undocumented immigrant. Says Rodriguez said he had no idea he'd been born in Mexico before his father's confession that day, but he knew immediately how serious the situation was. He'd spent nearly 2 decades working for the U.S. government at the border. By his estimates, he'd helped deport thousands of people while working for U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and before that for the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Uncle Juan, that's an Uncle Juan, all right? He's deporting, helping. Why would you want a job as that, Deporting your people, okay? That doesn't make any sense, all right? Suddenly, he found himself on the opposite side of the spectrum, fighting for a chance to stay in the United States. What goes around comes around, all right? It's a biblical concept, all right? They just call it in different words, so that's what you get, judgment coming your way. Why? Because you did it to your people. Now it's getting done to you. Didn't like it very much, did you? He lost and look at how all his friends, they ended up hating him too. He lost so much quickly after that, his job at CBP, his friends in law enforcement, his sense of self. He hasn't seen his father since the day in April 2018 and says he never wants to speak to him again. This guy might be an Edomite too. Who knows? This guy sounds like he might be an Edomite. So who knows? Who knows though? It says, but now nearly 5 years later, Rodriguez, 54 years old, says he's realized he also gained something surprising after that moment when he learned he wasn't a U.S. citizen. It started off as a nightmare, he says, but then it turned out to be, holy moly, this is what I was meant to do. For Rodriguez, a journey began that day, and it's ended up somewhere he didn't expect. Said she heard his story and reached out to help. Let's read a little bit more of this. There's a part where, but it tells you he lost all of his friends in law enforcement. They're like, oh, get away from here, you fucking beaner. They probably didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, man. Didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. Why? Because he wasn't selling out for them anymore. Or you're illegal now, or whatever. We don't want nothing to do with you. This is what you get when you work for E, man. All right, if you're a Jake, if you're even a Jake, all right. If you're a Jake, you're an Uncle Juan. If not, you're an Edomite. All right, either way, all right. Not a good position to be in. Even worse so if you're Edomite. At first, Diane Vega couldn't believe the words she saw in her Facebook feed. In her advocacy work, helping deported veterans and veterans at risk of deportation, as vice president of Repatriate Our Patriots, she's seen firsthand how cruel and confusing the U.S. immigration system could be. Yeah, because it's set up to make it to where you can't get in, but they really do want you in, because then who would they have working all their fields and doing all the jobs that they don't want to do, because The guy in the suit doesn't want to work that job, but guess what? Iskar's hardworking, man. All Jake's hardworking. They'll do those jobs, all right? They don't even care. They'll say, yeah, let's go for it, man, all right? And the judo will do it too, all right? Repatriator Patriots, he said firsthand how cruel and confusing the U.S. immigration system can be, and it's set up to be that way. But this was unlike any story she heard before. Someone who thought they were born here, who was raised here, who served in the military, and then who was told, you're not American. And how she wondered could someone who'd work for CBP be facing deportation. Let me grab a drink. It says Vega, who's based across the state in El Paso, Texas. That's a terrible place if you ever happen to have the misfortune of being there. I know I have. It's ran down. You want to know why? There's a lot of Jake, and they don't. The city ain't gonna take care of anything because there's a lot of Jake. They just let the place rot. It says El Paso, Texas. I don't know. Vega wasn't the only one surprised by the story of former immigration inspector who'd learned he was undocumented. Rodriguez's plight caught the attention of local and national media. Many responses to the coverage were unsympathetic. Vega says, especially in border communities. Listen here, and this is true. They'd say, this is what you get for going against your own people, all right? And Jake got the right idea. This is what you get. This is what you get for going against your own people. Look at you. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're not allowed to be over here and deporting thousands of people. And he had no problem deporting thousands of people. But when it was his case that he could end up getting deported, I bet he was real fucking afraid of that. All right? I bet he was terrified. Oh, no, I'm going to get deported. But you had no problem doing it to other people. How do you think they felt? All right? But Vega saw the story another way. She served in the military. Rodriguez had too. Before his career working for CBP and its predecessor, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, Rodriguez was in the Navy. He served from 1992 to 1997 and was stationed in Jacksonville and San Diego. His deployments in Iceland and the Persian Gulf as a member of the Navy's military police. It says, anyone who served in the military, Vega says, know what it's like to have to follow orders and put your personal feelings aside. And to her, Rodriguez's work at CBP was no different. It was his job, she said. Some jobs are not the best, but we have to follow orders. It was always for the defense of this country, and fuck this country, man. You don't need to defend it. It was in this. There's no defending this country anyway because it's going to go down when Yahweh Shemi Shai comes back. It says it was for the intent of taking care of the United States and his people and its people. All right, and you sold out. All right, to why? To take care of the United States and its people. And who's that taking care of? Edomites. It says when others were turning away from Rodriguez, Vega reached out. In their first phone conversation, she heard how alone he sounded. Those that he thought were his brothers turned their back on him. She says, why? Why? Because now you just ain't nothing but another dirty Mexican over from across the border to them. All right? They only want to be around you when you're selling your own people out. All right? That's it. That's it. And when you're not selling your own people out, they have no fucking use for you. Say, all right, go back to your country. We don't give a shit about you. Fuck you. All right? Then you just you went from being an Uncle Juan, just a regular old beaner, and they said, get the fuck out of here. We don't want to have nothing to do with you. All right? So he was surprised. What? He was surprised, and you see how the other his people said. He says that's what you get. That's what gets you for turning on your own people. All right. So this is judgment, man. This is judgment. That's what he gets. And this guy might just be an Edomite, or he could just be an Uncle Juan. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an Edomite though. This guy. And it's just the hell he has to go through to see what it's like. It says Anita Rodriguez tears up as she recalls those days. And the headline says he couldn't travel outside his own backyard. It says it was devastating, she says, to watch her husband spiral into a depression as he lost support of so many people and institutions he's counted on. There'd be some days when I'd leave the house and wonder, is he going to be okay when we come home? What are we going to find? She says, her voice cracking with emotion. Anita Rodriguez works for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services and met her husband while they were both training to be inspectors for the immigration agency, then known as INS. So I don't know why you would want to work that job, but okay. Says since then she'd seen him dedicate so many years to his job and earn high accolades too. In 2006, officials flew him to Washington to receive an integrity award for his work in a smuggling bust. All right. Says the past few years, she said he have brought this family a dramatically different reality. He'd been all over the world for the U.S., she says, and yet he couldn't travel outside his own backyard and couldn't go past a border control point. Jake, come on. If you're Jake, this shows you what you get when you work for the white man. Here you are, you did all this, and then as soon as that, you're like, yeah, you ain't shit to us. Fuck you, get out of here. It doesn't matter. It's like you for the swearing again. But hey, that's the same thing with the military. You serve, you go over there, you get shot, and then after you're done, guess what? They don't give you anything. They don't give you jack. All right, nothing. All right, you might get a little bit of a pay, but for the most part, they throw you to the wind. All right, that's why we have so many disabled people in this country. A lot of them not disabled, but disabled veterans that are homeless. All right, or just veterans in general that are homeless. Why? Because the United States doesn't really care. They help out a small number of them just to make it seem like there's some people actually getting help. The rest of them don't get help. All right, that's any time you work for E. All right, it doesn't matter how long you worked for them. All right, you could work for the company for 50 years. All right, and guess what? They don't care. You think they care? They don't care. So it says, and I don't know how much we want to. I don't know how much we want to read more of this. Let's see. It's like you. It says he lost his identity when he lost his job. It says Rodriguez says years of federal background checks never turned up his Mexican birth certificate. It only came to light when Rodriguez filed a visa application for his brother. It says records show prosecutors declined to pursue a case against Rodriguez after investigators from the Department of Homeland Security of the Inspector General couldn't find any proof that he knowingly submitted a fraudulent birth certificate to the government. That meant he wouldn't face criminal charges, but his job was still in jeopardy. After placing him on leave during the investigation, Rodriguez says CBP fired him in 2019 because he wasn't a U.S. citizen and therefore no longer met the requirements to work as an officer. In a statement to CNN, CBP said Rodriguez is no longer employed by the agency but declined to comment further on his case. All allegations involving CBP employees are handled in a uniform manner in accordance with applicable Department of Homeland Security policies, the statement said. Soon after losing his job, Rodriguez got a tattoo on his left arm. It shows a Mexican flag splitting his CBP badge in two. It says, being a Mexican citizen, Rodriguez says, broke my career and tore it apart. Rodriguez is no longer working and relies on disability benefits he receives due to a head injury sustained during his time in the Navy. It says he remains proud of the integrity award he won on the job. He still has it on his shelf in his living room, and he keeps a photo of him shaking the CBP commissioner's hand that day on his phone. But he says many of the friends he thought he'd made during the years at the agency have disappeared. They abandoned me because they thought I was illegal, he said. So, there you go. There you go. As soon as they thought that, they're like, yeah, get out of here. We don't want you, you dirty illegal. You know, probably thinking, oh, fucking wetback. All right, so let's grab the scriptures. So that's what happens. That's what happens when you sell out to E. All right, that's what happens when you sell out to E. So let's get it. It says, and that's the title lesson. That's what you get for selling out to E. You know, Uncle Juan. All right, let's get Proverbs. Let's get rid of this. Let me open up on my phone too, so I don't got to keep on going back and forth. All right, here we are. All right, Proverbs 26 and 27. It reads, "Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him." So let's go over the Blue Letter Bible, not the Blue Letter Bible, the Good News translation, see what that has to say. It says, people who set traps for others get caught themselves. People who start landslides get crushed. Roundabout way with the saying, and the worldly saying for this is, hey, what goes around comes around. What you do comes back to you, all right? And that's a biblical concept. This isn't something the world just came up with. It's a biblical concept, all right? And we have scriptures that are dealing with that. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, King James Version, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him, which means if you roll a stone, it's going to come back on you, All right, so if you're doing things like that, guess what? If you're doing wickedness, you get dirt. You do dirt, you get dirt. All right, so guess what? Here you were rolling all these stones on these people, and now you're upset when it rolled back to you. All right, now you get another worldly saying, as they say, now you get to get a taste of your own medicine. All right, a taste of your own medicine. All right, let's look that word up. Taste of your own medicine. Definition. All right, can we get a better site? We'll go to Merriam-Webster. Says a taste or a dose of someone's own medicine, harsh or unpleasant treatment that is like the treatment someone has given to other people. All right, there you go. What's this say down here? This says a taste of your own medicine. Dictionary at Cambridge. It says give someone a dose/taste of their own medicine means to treat someone as badly as they have treated you, or do wrong as they've done to you. All right. So now you don't like getting a taste of your own medicine, do you? All right. You don't like it. It doesn't taste so great, does it? All right. Now think what you did to all those other people. All right. That and really really unless they come back, it's either way they're gonna get judged if they're a wicked Jake. But hey, you're really doing an evil thing, really. All right, you're destroying people's livelihood. All right, people have families here. Some of them might be legal and they get deported. You're breaking up and that it's just an evil thing for you to do, man. All right, it's an evil thing for you to do. Let's get Matthew. And just think, if you were in that situation, how would you have liked that? All right, to be pulled away from your wife. All right, and you can't really. What are you gonna do? All right, what are you gonna do? Eventually, that woman might end up, leaving you. All right, and so that's gonna cause her to commit. And then what can you do about it? All right, you can try to get a citizenship, but guess what? The United States makes it damn near impossible. All right, to get a citizenship. All right. If it was so easy to get a citizenship, people wouldn't come over illegally. They'd just say, hey, like a citizenship, they'd get it and boom, they'd move on their way. It's not easy, all right? It's hard. It's one of the hardest. The United States has one of the hardest immigration policies out of any country, all right? Because they make you study things that there's things that Americans would not even know, all right? People that have lived here for a long time, all right? One of the things they make you do is they make you recite every single president's name, all right? I've lived in the United States my whole life. I cannot do that. All right, nor nobody else that I've ever met, all right, except one person. One person I've met, all right, that's related, that's not family, but she's married into the family, so to speak, all right, and she was not a U.S. citizen, and now she's a U.S. citizen. She's the only one that can do it, and you want to know why? Because she had to learn how to do that to get a citizenship over here. That's related a citizenship, all right, because that's the United States. Yeah, come on over to America and. It's terrible, but she's the only one that I know that can do it because she had to do that. All right. So Matthew 7, verse 12. All right. It reads, therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. So let's get that in the Good News Translation. It says, do for others what you want them to do for you. All right. There's a worldly version of that, and that shows you that everything comes from the Bible. All right. These worldly people think they came up with something smart, but they didn't. All right. Do as you would like to be done unto you. All right. That worldly saying. Guess what? That's not a worldly saying. All right. You were mistaken. It's not a worldly saying. It says, do for others what you want them to do for you. This is the meaning of the law of Moses and the teachings of the prophets. All right, so as they say in the world, treat people how you want to be treated. All right, and you were treating people, you didn't want to be treated that way. You didn't want to be treated that way at all. So now you're getting a taste of your own medicine, and you don't really like it too much, do you? I wouldn't either, man. I wouldn't either. It's like, especially if you got a wife, and she's a citizen, you're not gonna be able to take her with you, or your kids. You're gonna lose your kids, man. Hey, It's a terrible situation, dude. Colossians 3:25, it says, "But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons." So guess what? If you're out here doing these things, don't be surprised if they come around you, man. All right? Don't be surprised if you're out there doing terrible things to people. Don't be surprised when those terrible things come back and bite you in the ass. All right? What goes around comes around. That's a biblical concept. All right? Not in that wording, but through the scriptures we're grabbing. "But he that doeth wrong shall receive the wrong which he hath done, and there's no respect of persons." That is the biblical version, all right, the original version of what goes around coming around. What goes around comes around, all right? Not no karma, not none of that. No, it's you doeth wrong, you shall receive the wrong that you've done, all right? That's it, plain and simple, all right? So don't be surprised if you're out here doing all this wickedness, and then wickedness starts to hit. But why is all this wickedness happening to me? Ugh. Well, what have you done? It looks like you've done all this to other people. You didn't have a problem when that happened. Here's Colossians 3:25 in the Good News Translation. It says, "And wrongdoers will be repaid for the wrongdoings they do, because the Most High judges everyone by the same standard." All right, there you go. And the only way to avoid it is to not do the wickedness, to not do the wrong. All right, if you do the wrong, guess what? You're gonna get it. All right, there's no respect of persons. All right. Well, he sits in church every day. No, see, the Most High ain't dealing with people that go to church either, because the church is a Christianity concept. All right. The modern church, because the church is really a group of men gathered. All right, but the church, when you say the church, all right, what do you think of? You think of a building where a bunch of people go. All right, that's what you think. All right, and that's Most High's not dealing with Christians like that. He's not dealing with Christianity. All right, he's only dealing with, all right, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, that know they're Israelites. All right, that are doing the law, following the law to the best of their ability. All right, Hebrew Israelites. That's all. That's all he's following. He's not following, some white person that sits in a church and prays to Jesus. His name isn't Jesus. His name is Yahweh Shai. All right, the Son. Okay, and the Father's name is Yahweh, not God. Okay, so he's not going to listen to you if you're sitting in some church, which he told you not to, and you're praying to some God that's not him. Doesn't make any sense, man. All right, so he's definitely not going to listen to you. This is Jeremiah 17:14. It reads, actually, you know what? Not 10. I don't know how I got 10. Not 14, but 10. 10. All right, Slakia, Jeremiah 17:10. It reads, "I, the Lord, search the heart, I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings." What was the fruit of your doing? It wasn't very good fruit, so that's what you're getting back. All right? It says, "I, the Lord," this is the Good News Translation, "I, the Lord, search human minds and test human hearts. I treat each one according to the way he lives, according to what he does." And guess what? If you're living godly, hey, it's going to be good for you. All right? But if you're living wickedly, hey, it's going to be terrible for you. Okay? And it's worse situations than this. All right? Worse situations than this. But this is an act of, hey, you were doing it, and when it comes back to you, why are you surprised? All right? And that is a form of judgment. All right? The Lord, all right, had that done to you. All right? The Lord had that done to you as judgment. All right? Regardless if you got deported or not, that was a hell that was thrown on you. All right? It could have been a warning. All right? Because you shouldn't be doing that to your people, man. All right? That's not something I could, we're going to do things in our jobs that we might not like, but there's certain things that I just couldn't see myself doing. Working as a border agent, that's one of the things I couldn't see myself doing, man. All right? Kicking my own people out. All right? And, and sure, this is Babylon the Great. It's going to be destroyed. All right? It's a terrible place. All right? But it's not about whether it's a terrible place or not, because we all know it's a terrible place and it's going to be destroyed. It's about, when you do that, some of these people have families over here. All right? And their family members are legal citizens. All right? And they have kids. All right? And now that you're stripping them away from their families. All right? Their friends that they've been around for years. All right? And, basically going back to a place where they don't even know anymore, man. All right? So that's an evil-ass thing to do. This is Proverbs 1:31. All right? It reads, "Therefore," and we're only getting the first part of this. You can go and start up all, and really read from Proverbs 1:1 all the way down. Ooh, we're just grabbing 31. All right, and it reads, therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. All right, and we're grabbing this scripture specifically out of this because it's talking about eating the fruit. All right, the fruit. All right, your fruit according to your ways. How are you doing the fruit? All right, it's your fruit or your if we grab the scripture in the Blue Letter Bible, it probably can not the blue letter, the green. Not the green, the Good News Translation. If my brain's slacky, I just got off work, so my brain's all messed up. I didn't have enough time to make it before work. I like to try to get up earlier, but didn't work out today, unfortunately. But it says, here you go. Verse 31 in the Good News Translation. So then you will get what you deserve, and your own actions will make you sick. All right, so that's, when it speaks to fruits, it's what you're putting out. All right, it's what you're putting out. And it's just, they use a lot of husbandry terms, a lot of farming, all right, planting, harvesting terms in the Bible, all right. And for example, planting evil seeds. So guess what? If you plant an orange, all right, what are you expecting to harvest? Oranges, all right. So if you plant evil, what are you expecting to harvest? Evil. You're gonna get evil back, man. You're gonna get evil back. But hey. You do you, though, all right? He that is unrighteous, let him be unrighteous still, and he is filthy, let him be filthy still, all right? So if you're not going to get it, hey. All right, Galatians 6 and 7, then we're going to close out, all right? It reads, all right? And this is what we're talking about, all right? Be not deceived, Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap, all right? And that term soweth, that isn't speaking of S-E-W sow, that's S-O-W sow, all right? So it's not speaking of sewing clothes together, it's speaking of sowing as in planting a seed, all right? Putting seed out into a field, all right? So whatever you sow, all right, whatever you plant, guess what? You're also going to reap. And what does reap mean? There's that term, reap the benefits of, reap the reward. Reap. Reap. Here we go. Harvest, garner, gather in, bring in, take in, cut, crop. There you go. Okay, to cut or gather, all right? It's your harvest, all right? You're reaping your harvest. So your harvest is going to be wickedness, all right? If that's what you're putting out. All right, if that's what you're sowing, you're gonna get that back. All right, so don't be surprised when it happens. Oh, I don't understand. All right, well, that's what you get, man. That's what you get for selling out to eat. All right, and being an Uncle Juan. All right, to being a manchinisto, manchinismo. All right, or however it was pronounced, or however whatever the word was. It was something manchismo. I think it was manchismo. All right, so that's what you get for being one of them, man. For being an Uncle Juan, all right? To be a Tio Thomas, all right? That's what you get, all right? That's what you get. And this is what you get. It's another, here we go. We're going to close out with this. Just in case you were a Jake, all right? This is Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. It reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right, and what did you do? You trust the enemy. You thought everything was going to be fine? No, man. All right? No. Okay? Never trust your enemy. Okay? Never trust your enemy. All right? That's what you're doing. You're basically, giving in to E. Trusting in your enemy. And then you realize, why are all my friends gone? Because those were never your friends, all right? Those were never your friends, okay? But I just wanted to grab that as well, because you should never trust in your enemy, because, this guy, he probably thought he was going to be fine for a little bit, but no. He wasn't. He wasn't fine, all right? Getting his job, it doesn't look like he's going to ever get that job back, at least. Who knows? But, yeah, so that's that. That's what you get for selling out to E and being a manchinismo or being an Uncle Juan, all right, a Tio Thomas, all right, whatever you want to call it. That's what you get, all right? So it's not surprising, all right? To the people that are in this truth, it's not surprising to us, all right? It's not surprising to us at all. That's what you get for trusting E. All right? That's what you get. All right? That's what you get for working for them, too. You think they're going to help you out? Nah, man. You just ain't nothing to them. All right? You're just another Mexican to them. That's it. All right? If you are even in Issachar. All right? But with that, we're going to close out. So, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Quicker little lesson today. All right? Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone. Shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.